Hi, everybody. This is Maxine Taylor with a special edition of my Trumpology report. This Trumpology report is entitled, Will Trump Be Re-elected in 2020? And today is the day I'm recording this is January 30th. I'm going to give you my answer to that question using the diurnal chart that I love, which I use for all of my political predictions, in just 1 minute. But first, a brief word about a special. My February special, which is on my website, MaxineTaylor.com, is brand new. I've never offered this before. It is entitled, Where the Bleep is Cupid. That tells it all. If you go to my website, there it is. Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled video. Back a couple of months ago, on Thanksgiving, I was sitting in my living room thinking, I'm like everybody, I wonder if Trump is going to be reelected. So many things had been happening in our world, in our government, and I thought, well, why not go ahead and do the diurnal for the election? It's very simple. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with diurnal charts, this is a little known method of predicting what will happen on a particular day to a particular person. It is based on the location of the event. In this case, it would be Washington, D.C., and the exact date. Now, there are different ways of doing the diurnal. I know that. Please don't write me. I know there are other ways of doing it. Mine is very simple and right on the money, and anybody can understand what I'm saying. So I'm going to, just for a second, for those of you who may not be familiar with the diurnal chart, I'm going to back it up a little bit and share previous diurnals on Trump, just a couple of them, to show you, number one, Trump's birth time is right on the money. It's totally accurate. And to show you how easy it can be to predict. So let's just start with the diurnal chart for Trump's inauguration. When I do a diurnal chart, the only thing we look at are planets that fall right smack dab on one of the cusps. And we use, for those of you who study astrology, the natal planets, the transiting planets, and the progressed planets. The conjunction is the most powerful aspect there is. And by the way, if you're interested in learning more about diurnals, in my book, The Stargazer's Motherlode, which is available on my website, MaxineTaylor.com. That's a compilation of 5 books I've written, one of which is What's a Diurnal? It was previously published. I took back the publishing rights, and so you can get it on my website. All right. On the day of Trump's inauguration, which is I did this chart, this diurnal, months before the election, because I figured whoever has the winning diurnal for the inauguration is going to be the president. And when I looked at this chart, it showed that transiting, that's the planet going round and round right now, transiting Mars was right smack dab on the ascendant. The ascendant, the physical body, the most personal point in the entire chart, 24 Pisces. I'm leaving the minutes out because this can be very confusing to some people. So I'll just do the degrees. The ascendant, 24 Pisces, Mars, 24 Pisces, transiting Mars. Now, for those of you who have been following along with me, I've shown you the diurnals for President Obama's, both of his inaugurations. And you know that I talked about the midheaven in Obama's last chart was triggered by one of the nodes, the IC, the first house, the seventh. This is the physical body, the most personal point in the chart, home and family, relationships, public image. There was nothing here in Trump's 10th house, and I thought, wow, this is kind of different. But I also knew that Mars is where the action is. And so after doing this diurnal and watching him during the campaign, I realized that he was the one who was going to be elected president. We didn't have, we still don't have an accurate birth time for Hillary, so it was very difficult to predict. But there it is right here. Mars is what we throw ourselves into. It's what comes first. And I at first said this couldn't possibly be the diurnal for somebody who's president because there's too much me in it. And that's, after a while, what I realized was that this chart was an anomaly and his presidency would be an anomaly. And there we have it. The next diurnal I did was for the midterms, okay? And you would expect from the chart of a president that there would be angular planets, 1, 4, 7, and 10, the angles of the chart, in a major event. Well, his natal sun, that's the center of our life, was on the 7th cusp of other people in a political race. Now, some people have said, well, Trump wasn't running for office at that time. No, he wasn't, of course not. But this was a statement. People who voted in the midterms were making a statement. And naturally, Trump would have wanted to win, his party to have won, the Republican Party. And remember, there was a blue wave predicted. There's nothing on the ascendant. He got nothing. Remember, in his chart, it's me. I've described his birth chart. I've shared it with you. You know that it's all about him in whatever situation he's in. You can read it in his chart. That's not meant as a criticism. It's an interpretation of the chart with the sun in the 10th house, conjunct Uranus, conjunct the north node. Okay. So the sun in 22 of Gemini, the descendant, the 7th cusp of open adversary or a competitor, 22 of Gemini. So the natal sun sat right smack dab on the house that deals with other people. In this case, it would be the Democrats, because he was trying, and I think all Republicans naturally were trying to create a midterm election that comprised of people who they wanted. The Democrats doing the same thing. So it was a contest. And we know, of course, that the other team, so to speak, won. There was a blue wave. I don't remember how many new females were elected to Congress, and a couple more in the Senate. But it was huge. So with that in mind, may I present to you Trump's diurnal for the election on November 3rd, 2020. Now, there are a lot of ifs here before I show you the chart. Sorry, I will get to it. I should have said this first. What I'm going to share with you works if Trump is still in office, meaning he's not simply impeached, but he is not removed from office, so he's still in the top slot. If he is in Washington, D.C. during the time of the election, let's see, what else? If he's president, and if he's running. If he's not president, he will probably not run. But if he is, because I don't know what party he would run on if he weren't president. So for him to run for president, he would more than likely be endorsed by the Republican Party and be their candidate. Okay? If he is not their candidate and he is not in the election, if he is in Washington, D.C., this chart will still be accurate, but it won't be applicable. Let me explain what I'm talking about. This is the diurnal chart for Trump on, I need my glasses, Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. And it is very hard to see what I've got here. I'm going to spell it out for you. I have the same chart with, excuse me, guys, the degrees and minutes. That makes it even more cluttered. So may I just verbalize the degrees to you? The ascendant, me, this is very important to somebody running for office, especially for president. The ascendant is 20 degrees of Sagittarius. Now, in astrology, many of you know, opposite cusps have the opposite sign, but the same degrees. And so the 7th house of his adversary or his opponent is indicated by 20 degrees of Gemini. Okay? And you see that both of these houses, cusps, are triggered. There are so many indications here that I could not just line them up across. So I put them one on top of one another. And that's why it's so busy. First off, on the day of the election, that is November 3rd, his natal south node is right on the ascendant. The south node in a birth chart is that area which you have mastered in past lives and which you are instinctively drawn to. And if you spend too much time there, you can be drained. In the chart of somebody running for president, it is the traditional interpretation of the south node, which means loss and drainage of energy. So he has his natal south node, on the ascendant. He has the true south node on his ascendant as well. Those of you who study astrology know that there's the mean and then there's the true node. Bear with me for one more minute. The true node, the true south node, that's 2 south nodes on the ascendant on the 3rd. I'm not finished yet. The mean south node, the transiting south node. Now the true node is the transiting true node. The transiting mean south node is in 21, meaning the next day. And that might be when the fallout finishes, when the votes are finished being counted. But he's got three south nodes right there on the ascendant, which means personal loss. And the final indicator is his natal moon is in 21 Sagittarius the next day. Wherever the moon is, if it falls on a cusp, you know the moon, I say you, those of you who study astrology, excuse me, I'm getting all excited about astrology here. When the moon falls on a cusp, change is indicated. What would be the change for Trump? Well, with 3 south nodes, it would be a change in his personal image from president to non-president, from in his own mind winner to loser. So this would be a very difficult thing to deal with. Now look over here at the 7th house. That is open enemies, open conflicts, but in a race, it is your adversary. So I am assuming that we're going to have a two-party system at this point in time. If there are 3, I still think it'll be between the Democrats and the Republicans. I could be wrong, because remember, there are a lot of ifs. If he's still president, and if he runs, and if, he is not going to win. To use his words, he will lose bigly. And that will be very difficult for him to deal with. So let's look over here and see if it is validated with his open enemy, his adversary. Well, the natal north node, now let me tell you about the north node. That's the area of greatest success. Your north node in your birth chart indicates your greatest success, the area in which you will find it. And so this is symbolically the 1st house of his Democratic competitor for the position of president. The natal north node in green is sitting on the descendant, which indicates personal success. The true north node is also on that person's symbolic ascendant. And on the 21st, the day afterwards, the transiting north node is on their symbolic diurnal ascendant, which means that whoever runs as the representative, the candidate on the Democratic ticket, will be our next president. And Trump, with 3 south nodes and the moon on his diurnal ascendant, will not. I have waited to share this with you since I saw this chart on Thanksgiving of 2018. And with everybody entering the race now, excuse me, I feel like, a weight has been lifted. I wanted to share this with you since then. And now there are going to be a lot of people throwing their hat in the race. In order to do a diurnal, I have to have the exact time of birth. A lot of people can sign up and pay the fee and be registered to run for president. But unless they are in the top positions, meaning if they're going to be interviewed on the most popular channels, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, the ones who interview candidates. If they are not interviewed there, they are not a viable candidate. So please don't ask me to do the chart of somebody you know who has signed up to be president. Lots of people do. However, if you find that you have the birth times for someone or some people who are running a viable birth time, I would love to have it. I do have Kamala Harris's birth time. It is available publicly. So I have one person. And I welcome any birth times that you might have based on either the person telling you the birth time or an official record of their birth time, such as the birth certificate. So this is my special Trumpology report to all of my friends. I hope you found it interesting and informative, and I hope that you will go to my website and take advantage during the month of February of my brand new special, Where the Bleep is Cupid. And until we meet again, dear friends, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours. Bye for now.